Number 2, calorie deficit is required for 7 days. In order to lose 1 pound, you need to eat 500 calories less than you eat to maintain. Now, for those of you who are with me in the First Form app, the app has already calculated your calorie deficit, which is the best calorie deficit I've ever seen in my life. Don't mess around with the First Form calories. Eat exactly how many calories you're supposed to eat that the app calculated for you. Now, you need to eat those calories for 7 days. If you do 5 days calorie deficit, but then you don't track Saturday, Sunday, then you were not in calorie deficit for 7 days. If you did not eat all your calories on Monday, Tuesday, and then you went over on Wednesday, depends on the total between those 3 days, you may not have been in calorie deficit. It's really important that you track the entire week for 7 days in a row to learn your own data, to learn your own habit, to learn why are you doing this in the first place. Because no one can really tell you the answer until you track and see what you're eating for 7 days. Those 2 things are super duper important. Once you learn how much you eat, and once you learn what you eat, and you learn the art of tracking, and you stick to my food list, in case some of you are doing the Eat Your Way to Fit program, once you start to lose weight, once you learn how to eat, once you learn how your body works, then you reintroduce the foods that you took away. You don't have to be dairy-free forever. You're only dairy-free until you learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Now that you may have lost 40 pounds, you can reintroduce some things like mayo. I'm not saying you're gonna on your next burger, but you could reintroduce some foods you love to see how your body responds to that food you're reintroducing. Because once you go through my coaching and you learn everything that I'm sharing with you, eventually, especially when you're lifting weights, eventually you're gonna be just like me and Jamie, eating whatever the fuck you want and still losing a pound or gaining a pound, and it's no big deal. I had a big box of donuts this last weekend, and I enjoyed every single bite, and I only put on 2 pounds. Today is Wednesday as I'm recording this podcast, and I'm already down the 2 pounds I gained from the weekend. That's how it works. You eat your way to fit. You eat one way Monday through Friday, and then you can have mayo or something on the weekend. And it's okay. And then once you learn how to eat, you might be someone who can have mayo every single day. Really depends on each individual. But if you're just starting out, it is extremely, extremely, extremely important to only eat small. Pick your food from a small list. That way you learn how your body does, and it also helps you track easier. For example, if some foods, like a recipe has, let's say, 10 different items, I don't track recipes because it's just too, if it's complicating, if you have to ask me how, my answer is, I don't know, figure it out, because I don't care to learn how to do something that's difficult. I just don't care. Even when I started to lose the 60 pounds when I started 5 years ago, it's more 7 years ago, I just didn't care to do more work. I already do enough work. I really didn't care to track recipes. It really wasn't that important to me because I wasn't trying to lose a pound the next day. I was learning the art of tracking. I was learning how to work out. I was learning how to lift. I was learning how to cook healthy. I was learning what I like. I was learning what works for me. I was learning what to do just as long as I don't quit. Because I've quit on myself for 25 years. So my last time I made a commitment to myself, I was gonna stick it out, reach my goals one way or another. I almost quit. This is why I started waist training, and this is why I started sleeping in my waist trainer, because I was getting crazy and wanted to quit. And now that I was 40 years old, I recognize my habits, I recognize my lifestyle, I recognize my mind, and I recognize that I'm repeating the same things. I knew that, I heard it, and so I had to figure out another way on how to make this happy for me and easy for me not to give up on myself. Let's summarize. Number one, you need to be in calorie deficit for 7 days. 7 days. Not 5, not 4, not 3, not 9, 7 days. If you do not hit your calorie deficit on Monday, because you're tracking in the app and it tells you how many calories to eat, and you did not eat all your calories, then you were not in calorie deficit, that did not count. You start again on Tuesday. If on Tuesday your calorie deficit says 1649 and you're at 1300, you didn't hit calorie deficit, that didn't count, you start again on Wednesday. If on Wednesday it says to eat 1650 but you ate 1900, so third day did not count, you start again on Thursday. And you repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until you hit calorie deficit, which is whatever number that says in the app. For the sake of this conversation, it's 1500. You will be repeating the same thing every single day until you hit your calorie deficit. And that day is when you can say day one. That might be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then you're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna quit. You're gonna stop. You're gonna be kicking, screaming, cursing me out, throwing the phone against the TV because it's so frustrating you can't hit your calorie deficit. And then maybe you'll come back to it 2 or 3 weeks later, and now 2 months have gone by and you still have not been in calorie deficit. And that is why it's so difficult to lose weight, and that is why you've been struggling all your life, and that is why you're struggling now, and that is why you're gonna struggle tomorrow, and that is why, and why. I hope that helped you at least understand why you've been struggling. At least you can have some sort of sense, some sort of closure on the why. Because if you wake up in the morning like I did, why am I still overweight? Why can't I just lose a pound? Why, blah, blah, blah. At least this way you have an answer. In my opinion, I think the best weight loss success feeling is knowing the answer to the question of why. On that note, thank you for listening to this podcast. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. If you have another topic you want me to discuss, leave that in the comments as well. But you will hear me yell at you on the next episode.